What is up, Yugi fam? Today I have a really cool deck profile to showcase for you guys. It is Eldlich Ancient Warrior or Ancient Warrior Eldlich. I thought it was really cool that this deck even existed. It's a combination of two very unique archetypes and they mix very well. Surprisingly, there is some natural synergy, especially considering that Sun Mao does send anything on field or in your hand for cost. So that does include your Eldritch traps, and it's really nice because when you discard your Eldritch traps, you do gain value in addition to getting your search and getting your just Ancient Warrior play started. It gives the Eldritch archetype a little bit of a boost when it comes to comboing off and playing a bit more aggressively, since before with Eldlich you couldn't really like link climb that easily or put up like interruptions unless it was like your traps, and that's why people played like the Invoked Engine, the Dogmatica stuff. But I thought Ancient Warriors was a really strong take on the deck, and I highly suggest that you guys test it out for yourselves. Just a very amazing engine, and I'll showcase the engine towards the end of the video. So without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. So we play two Golden Lord. You want to play two, that way you don't lose to cards like Shark Cannon, DD Crow, because your traps do revolve around this guy, so you want to be able to have access to at least two copies. Three is a bit too cloggy. I think two is the correct number. Hate the gold rares, need to get secrets ASAP. For the Ancient Warrior stuff, we have 3 Sun Mao, we have 2 Sukong, and then we have 2 Lu Fang. So Sun Mao is by far the best Ancient Warrior monster. The other two right here, they're just meant to be searched. You play 2 Zukong because if you search one, unfortunately, I'm sorry, if you hard draw one, unfortunately you can't special summon it out. It has to be added by an Ancient Warrior's card. So that's why you play 2. In case you do draw one, you want the other one in deck, so that way Sun Mao can add it and trigger its effect to special summon. Because if you do hard draw it, it's just another normal summon, or you could just discard the first copy with Sun Mao if you don't really need it. What's cool is that if you draw Lu Fang with alongside Zukong, then you can still like combo off, or you could still like you can normal summon Zugong, special Lu Fang, and still go into double Dragon Lords and be able to like get a search. But Lu Fang is the better out of the two to hard draw, because all he requires is that you control an Ancient Warrior's monster, so he's easier to get out of the hand, plus he's an interruption on his own. When you draw Sun Mao, excuse me, when you draw Sun Mao, he is 2 interruptions. He'll get you the search. Actually, technically, he's more than 2 interruptions, because what happens is you normal summon him, you discard or send or whatever, and get the search. When you search Zugong, his effect triggers to special summon itself. It's an activated effect, so that triggers Sun Mao to target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So Sun Mao does also act as removal, and then you'll link these two into double Dragon Lords, and then double Dragon Lords on summon will get you the search of Lu Fang. You'll special Lu Fang. This can bounce any face-up card, and this will destroy the highest attack position monster on your opponent's side of the field, which is really nice. So Sun Mao alone does all that for you. So that's what makes this engine extremely powerful and extremely busted. For the last of the monsters, we play 3 Ash Blossom. Just a very generically good hand trap. Plus it has just a little bit of synergy with the Eldlich stuff, because you could special summon this with Sanguine if you control Golden Lord. I like to do that when I want to deck thin the deck a bit and I don't want to top deck into an Ash Blossom. So I thought that was pretty cool. Plus it helps you link climb. Moving on to the spells, we have 3 Cursed Eldlin. Obviously you want to get access to your Eldlich engine as quickly as possible, and there's a really strong combo that I'll show you guys. If you open Tenki and Eldlin, you get access to both your engines, and Tenki is your 1 card starter, because it'll search you Sun Mao, and it'll also serve as the cost for Sun Mao to activate Sun Mao's effect. So if you open this up, you're guaranteed 2 disruptions, which is amazing. For the other spells, we have 3 Pot of Prosperity. I think this card's very powerful in the deck because you don't mind banishing 6 cards, and that means you get to dig for you get to excavate 6, so that way you can dig deeper for your power cards and your starters like Tenki and Eldlin and stuff like that. So any missing pieces that you need, Pot of Prosperity hopefully gets you there. it can also, so after you say you open like Tenki up, you or Eldin, or you opened up your combo and you could combo off deck thin as much as possible, then activate Pot of Prosperity afterwards to try to dig for like hand traps or your other generic traps, just to make your board a bit more oppressive. For the last spell we run is one Black Awakening. I think one is good. It's an E-Telly to get Golden Lord out, and it can also banish itself to reset to set your Golden Land traps from deck, which is amazing. I think one's definitely fine. Now moving on to the traps, we have 3 Sanguine. You want to get access, obviously, to Golden Lord. Can't stress that enough. The traps revolve around that guy, so the faster you see Golden Lord, the faster you can get your Eldlich engine going, and just have your Golden Land traps live. Speaking of Golden Land traps, we have we play three Conquistador, 2 Hakero. I think 3 is the correct ratio for Kong because it's the best one. It hits more than Haquero can, because Haquero just hits stuff in grave. The only upside about Haquero over Conquistador is that it's 1800 attack, which does come up when you're trying to like push for game. But Kong obviously is the better card, especially when it comes to interacting with the opponent during their turn. And you want to play 2 Haquero at least, because sometimes you send one off Eldland, and when you send one off Eldland to banish to be able to set Sanguine, you want to have another one in deck, just so you're able to play the grind game, and it becomes a utility card in case you do need it for graveyard decks. The last Golden Land trap I run is 1 Golden Land Forever. It's the counter trap. It's an Omni Negate. It's usually the trap that I search first off Eldland if I don't know what I'm going up against. That way it's kind of a safe play because it hits absolutely everything. Whereas Conquistador hits most things, but not everything. Haquero hits some things, but this hits everything because it's any monster spell trap. So it could, even if they're activating cards in hand, you could hit it. In grave, you can hit it. Whatever the case may be. Definitely 1. I suggest testing this out for yourself. It's definitely a very powerful trap that is searchable, and you could set it with your Golden Land, your Sanguines, your Eldlich trap, or your Black Awakening. For the other traps, we have 3 Imperm. So I run Imperm because it doesn't play into tactics. It's a great top deck, and it's pretty good against Tri-Brigade right now. It's just generically good, I feel, against most things. Probably not everything, but again, just having the advantage of drawing this as a top deck and it still being live compared to like any other hand trap in an Ash Blossom is definitely huge. For the other traps, moving along, we have 2 Strike, 2 Judgment, and then 2 Dynamiscus. I wanted to have a main deck counter to back row removal, so that's why the Judgments are in here. Plus, it's just really good to stop big summons, spells, and traps in general. This is also, Dynamiscus is also very generically good against most things because it can hit face-up spells and traps as well as monsters, plus it banishes, so doesn't destroy. That's also very, very good. You can also chain it to your regular traps to serve as an extender, so you can link climb that way. This deck is definitely very aggressive when it comes to your following turn. If you have your board set up, you can easily OTK surprisingly with this deck, which is awesome. And then Strike is just a decent card going first, and it's pretty good going second, because if you do have your Eldlich traps and you set Strike and then they try to negate one of your traps, you could just chain Strike and try to break their board that way when you're going second. So I thought that was pretty good. I think this is a pretty nice ratio, and plus you have a wide variety of different things that different types of traps that are good against most matchups, which is nice. The last trap I run is 1 Skill Drain. This is pretty powerful in this deck because you can send this card to the grave with multiple ways, right? You could send it with Dragon Lords if you need to get rid of it. You could send it with Golden Lord. You can also send it with Sun Mao for cost. So this doesn't hurt you. You can activate it during the opponent's turn, stun them, and then during your following turn, if you really want to push for game, you can just send this to the grave and just combo off and be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! After your opponent has passed turn because of this card. It's definitely a very, very powerful floodgate, and I highly recommend you play it in this deck. For the extra deck, we have three double Dragon Lords. Double Dragon Lords is the best extra deck monster. It's the extra deck monster you're going to be going into the most. Three could come up. Two definitely always comes up, especially in the grind game. Three, not so much, because after you've searched like twice with this, you really don't have much to search for the third one. The only reason I play a third is just in case, like, say, like, this one gets stopped, and then, like, you play this, the following turn, and then you have one for the grind game. So just in case you do need access to three, because one of them does get hit with, like, an imperm or a strike or anything like that, you do have access to three. But to be honest, because we play Pot of Prosperity, we can just always banish one, and that's what I usually do. Link Spider, that's this card's just in here to send the traps, because they are normal monsters, and it's nice when you like activate the trap and then you can just link it off, so that way during the end phase you can use its end phase effect to banish itself and just set more traps and get your engine going and just continue with the grind game if you need to. So it's nice to have one Link Spider in here. Vampire Sucker, I think this card's pretty nice because it does provide a bit of utility, because if you're not able to go for game, if you don't have the resources to be able to push for damage, and you can't kill your opponent that turn, you can always just revive a monster from their grave, something that isn't relevant, that won't trigger on summon or won't trigger when it leaves the field, just to get the extra draw. So you could like draw to more traps, maybe draw into another Sun Mao, anything, and then just attack over that monster with like Golden Lord or Vampire Sucker if she's able to. So I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, like, your traps are zombies, so you could easily make this card. One Lina, this is sort of like a flex spot. It's you can really like. There's a lot of wiggle room in the extra deck, which is really nice. So you could play like other utility stuff. But I just decided to play Lina because she is a light that can. She's. You can make her using any two monsters, including a light monster. So that's your Eldlich, your Golden Land traps, as well as Eldlich Golden Lord. And then if you're playing against like a light deck, you can just revive one of their light monsters and be able to just like link climb that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. Definitely can change this for anything you want. What I do recommend is that you play Phoenix and Unicorn. They're just really good utility cards in case you do need access to them. This card is just really good against hitting like back row floodgates, and then Unicorn just spins anything. Plus, when you go into your access code talker, you want to be able to target the Unicorn. That way it gets to 5,300. And in addition to that, you have like so many different attributes. So access code will be able to pop so many cards on the field and be able to just push for game. Now moving on to the XCs, we do play a Zoo engine, which is one Chakanine, one Tiger Mortar, one Borbo, one Hammer Kong, and I'm just going to put this in here, the Zeus. And the reason that you play this is because Chakanine can be made with any two level 4s, so Sun Mao provides so much utility for the deck, because Sun Mao alone equals either 2 interruptions in the form of double Dragon Lords as well as Lu Fang, or you can go into Chakanine and then you can just overlay a Borbo on top, attack directly, and then after you attack directly, at this point you have 4 materials, and then this is 5, this is 6. So Sun Mao alone actually makes a 6 material Zeus, which is awesome, because I don't even think the Zoo engine can do that. So it's just really cool that you could hard make Chakanine with 2 level 4s. When you attack direct, I mean, Borbo is going to be 0 attack, because you're not using Zoo monsters to overlay in for your Zodiac XEs, but it's not relevant at all. All that's relevant is that you successfully declare an attack, so that way you can overlay into Zeus, and then you have a 6 material Zeus. Now, if you open Pot of Prosperity, what I typically do is I banish these 2 right here, because a 6 material Zeus isn't always going to come up. If you at least have a 4 material Zeus, that's fine. You mainly want to keep these 2, because this is the only way you get access to the Borbo, because you have to overlay into Chakanine, then slap Borbo on top. So these are the 2 very important ones to keep, whereas these are just like, you just use them just to gain extra Xyz material to make Zeus 6 materials. So if you want to resolve Pot of Prosperity, you would typically banish like these 2, Lina, maybe one of the double Dragon Lords, Link Spider, stuff like that, so you could easily like banish 6 to excavate 6. For the last extra deck monster we play is a Dweller. Sun Mao is also a 1 card Dweller, which is amazing. So say, game 2, game 3, your opponent's going to get very, very hindered by this card. And if you open up Tenki or Sun Mao, you instantly have access to this card. So if you're playing against like Prank Kids, you'll just make this and then, activate the effect. They pass because they really don't have any plays if they have to deal with a Dweller, since they can't trigger any of their Prank Kids monsters, which is amazing. Let's move on to the 2-card combo. Alright guys, so actually before we move on to the 2-card combo, I'm going to show you what Tenki does alone. So you're going to activate Tenki, you're going to search your Sun Mao, normal summon Sun Mao. This is why Tenki's so good, it's going to serve as the cost. So you're going to activate Sun Mao's effect, you're going to send the Tenki to the grave to be able to search. Here we're going to search for Zugong. Now at this point, if your opponent did control a monster, on resolution you're going to activate the effect of Zugong special. That's going to trigger Sun Mao to target that monster and bounce it. But if they don't control a monster, you're just going to go for your basic play, which is your link into the double Dragon Lords, and then on summon your double Dragon Lord is going to be able to search you for Lu Fang. So that's one interruption, and then your second interruption is Lu Fang. Okay, and because you control double Dragon Lords, you could special summon Lu Fang. You could send any card. Obviously, you have 4 other cards in hand, so keep that in mind. So 4 other cards. You could send any card on field or grave. You could send him, and then target a card, face-up card your opponent controls, bounce it. And then this will be able to destroy the highest attack monster your opponent controls. So that's 2 disruptions with just a singular Sun Mao or Tenki. So let's move on to what you can do with Tenki alongside Eldlich. Alright, so when you have these 2 cards, it's absolutely amazing. It's so cool what you can do with these 2 cards. You get access to both engines, you get access to Golden Lord, you get access to your Ancient Warriors, which is amazing. So we're going to start off by activating the Tenki. We're going to search for our Sun Mao. This guy's that important. He's that powerful. That's why I like to max out on this, and 3 Pot of Prosperity, because Pot of Prosperity can also help us dig for like Tenki or Sun Mao. So we're going to normal summon Sun Mao. Then we're going to, well, we don't need to normal summon Sun Mao. Just search him right now. We're going to activate the Eldlich. And then with Eldlich, again, what I typically like to do is add the counter trap, because if I don't know what I'm playing against, I want a card that's going to be able to counter anything my opponent throws at me. Now we're going to normal summon the Sun Mao, and we're going to activate the effect, and we're going to send Curse Eldlich in this scenario specifically, and we're going to search for our Zugong, and then we're going to go Chainlink 1 Eldlich, Chainlink 2 Zugong. We're going to special, and then the Eldlich here is going to send our Lord. Where the heck is he? I dropped a bunch of cards. Here we go. So we're going to send the Lord, and now we're going to be able to link into the double Dragon Lords. On summon, double Dragon Lords is going to search us our Lu Fang. Okay, so this is our, let me actually reposition the tripod just a little bit so we get a wider view. Okay, that's much better. So now here we can special Lu Fang. So we have our 2 interruptions, and we have our counter trap right here. So now we're going to be able to activate Golden Lord. We're going to send the Tenki. This is why having Tenki is so good, because Tenki serves multiple purposes, whether it's for Lord, whether it's for Sun Mao, which is awesome. We're going to special and then set the counter trap. So here, guys, we have 2 interruptions. We have the monster pop, we have the bounce, and we have the negate. This field can hit pretty much anything your opponent throws at you, which is really good. So depending on the matchup, is not relevant. All that's relevant is that you build a board that can combat most of the meta, which is awesome. So alternatively, you could just search for Conk here. So Conk, for the most part, does hit most things, right? So if you search Conk and you decide not to play the counter trap, or you just decide not to search the counter trap, then Conk is definitely a good option, especially when it comes to the grind game, because what you can do is after you've popped something, you can also use it to serve as the cost for double Dragon Lords to send it and then bounce something. And then what's nice is that you still keep Lord on the field, and if they can't get over this, what happens next turn is that you'll be able to link into another double Dragon Lords. So I just want to show you guys how easily you can OTK on the following turn. And then double Dragon Lords will be able to search us another copy of Sun Mao. Okay, and then you're going to normal Sun Mao, send any other card from hand or field. Obviously, you're starting with more cards, right? So you're going to activate, and then you're going to be able to search either another Lu Fang, or if you need to break your board, your opponent's board, you could search like another Zukong. And so either way, you're going to be able to OTK, because what happens here is that on resolution of the ad, you can special this. That's going to trigger to bounce another card. Double Dragon Lords has another bounce, which is amazing. And then from here, you could start to link climb. So you could go like Nightmare Unicorn, spin a card, right? And then you can go into your access code, you know, and pop a card and stuff like that. Or alternatively, you could even go, instead of like linking this off, if you had access to like another trap, you could just link these two into access code, and then have one of your traps, or like anything that you top deck, spell, trap, and then activate Lord Engrave, and Lord will become like 3,500. That's easily game. Plus you have two pops. You have the unicorn and the Ancient Warrior double Dragon Lord. So it's just so awesome that you could set that board up with 2 cards plus like 3 random cards. The other 3 random cards don't even have to be like relevant, and you have access to all this, which is so awesome. So let's move on to some test hands. All right, fam. So we're gonna do some test hands. Obviously, at the end of the day, you are playing a trap deck. What I like about the Ancient Warrior stuff, though, is that it allows you to combo off. So it makes the deck a bit more exciting and gives it plays that it normally wouldn't have, and it gives it outs that it also wouldn't normally have. And it also gives the 2 archetypes can lean on each other, which is nice. So like, say your Sun Mao gets stopped, you have your Eldlich engine to rely on, and vice versa. If your Eldlich stuff gets like hindered, you have your Ancient Warriors engine, which is really nice. And I really like that. I think this deck is definitely competitive. And if you guys enjoy videos like this, if you enjoyed this deck profile so far, and the test hands and the combo tutorial, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I would highly appreciate it. We're steadily growing, which is so awesome to see. We're at over 550 right now, and I think we've gained like a good amount of subscribers. I know it's not anything like huge, obviously, compared to like other YouTube channels, but still, it's very much appreciated, and it's very motivating. So I do thank you guys for that. Let's move on to our first test hand. We're going to start off with Lord, Lu Fang, the counter trap, Sugong, and Judgment. So here's the thing. Here's what I can showcase here, is that I can showcase why this is okay, because you can normal summon Sugong, special Lu Fang, and you can link right into double Dragon Lords, and double Dragon Lords will be able to search you the Sun Mao. So the reason that I don't search another Lu Fang here is because I can only special Lu Fang once per turn that way. So unfortunately I can't. Otherwise I would have specialed and I would have had 2 interruptions, but at least with this I have this. And then so this hand unfortunately isn't anything exciting, because we did draw like the one of Eldlich Forever. We drew like the 2 cards that we typically don't want to draw, but with a brick hand, you still end with double Dragon Lords, which is an interruption, and we have the Judgment. I'll set the Golden Land Forever just because I can. What I'm possibly gonna do is during my opponent's turn, I'll just send the Lord for cost to like bounce something, and then I'll have the Judgment. So I'll have the Golden Land Forever on field in case. The following turn, I'll be able to summon Lord and then have this be live, which is nice. And then I gave myself a guaranteed follow-up, so that way I know next turn, after I've stopped my opponent, if that was enough, I do have a follow-up. So what'll happen here is we'll top deck into a strike, and we can normal summon the Sun Mao, and then we can send, it doesn't matter, we could send the strike, we can search Zukong, and then on resolution, summon Zukong, target a monster opponent controls, bounce it, and then what's crazy about this board is that you still have OTK, like you still have game, because what you'll be able to do here is you'll be able to do one of two things. I think this is the safer play for sure. You'll be able to go for another double Dragon Lords and be able to search Lu Fang because we want the big beater. And then you'll be able to special Lu Fang, and then we could activate Golden Lord Engrave to be able to send the land forever, and then special Lord. So that's 3,500, and plus this gives a 500 attack boost to all Ancient Warriors monsters. So this is at 16, this is at 23, that's at 33. So this is 56. 56 plus 16, that's 71, and then that's 35. So that's still game on the following turn, which is awesome because you have the bounce. Well, you have the bounce with this if you needed to use it. Because even if you use the bounce, because you could technically use the bounce and still have enough for game. So just keep that in mind, which is so good. I mean, like, that was a very underwhelming hand, but we still had 2 interruptions plus an OTK follow-up and removal. Because we're able to, remove with the Zugong that we added. We could remove a monster, and then we could still return a face-up card back to the hand with this. And then we still have enough for game, which is just fantastic. And alternatively, what we could have done is we could have just linked into Unicorn and then linked into Access Code and have pops and still been able to game the opponent. But what I like about this board right here is that it's game, but for whatever reason, if they do stop you, you have 1 interruption, 2 interruption, and then if you activate any of these effects, this will trigger again to target a monster your opponent controls. So technically it is 3 interruptions as a follow-up if you don't OTK, which is amazing. Let's do another test hand though. Alright guys, just finishing up the power shuffle. So yeah, that first test hand was a little rough. It was a little rough, but it wasn't a complete brick. Like, we did hard draw 2 of the Ancient Warrior monsters that we did not want to draw. But I did mention in the deck profile that if you drew Lu Feng with Zugong, you at least have something, which is nice. We drew the Lord, we drew the Counter Trap, that was dead. The only cards that really did anything for us were the 2 Ancient Warrior monsters and hard drawing the Judgment. But it was just so awesome to be able to showcase what you can do with an underwhelming hand, especially when it comes to the following turn and reestablishing a board afterwards, which is awesome. So let's move on to the next following test hand. Hopefully we can draw something a bit better. Sometimes you do draw hands with all traps, so it's not too exciting, but again, having access to all those cards is just really nice. Yeah, so this is this is exactly what I was talking about. So basically with this hand, you go set 4 pass. Right, it's not anything too exciting, unfortunately. I wish it was, but this hand is 3 interruptions plus plenty of follow-up, which is awesome because you do have the Lord to discard with the Paleozoic, and then when you activate the Imperm to negate something, or say you just save this for the end phase, you Imperm and then you Judgment. I think most of the time this is going to be enough to stop so many decks. So having that, and then during the end phase, you could activate Eldlich Sanguine to special from deck, and then chain your Paleozoic Deinamiscus. So that way you have just more board presence and more cards to work with. So I'm just going to play this out, say we stopped the opponent, and then here's our following turn. Let's see what we can do. We definitely have follow-up in the form of Sanguine and Golden Lord Engrave. So we have these 2 cards engraved, so that's a guaranteed follow-up. So we're going to hard draw the Imperm. Again, nothing too exciting, but what we can do is we can banish the Sanguine. We can set it depends what you want to do, right? So if you're trying to push for a game, if your opponent has an empty field, you can't unfortunately game because this is 1200, that's 25, so that wouldn't actually be enough for a game. So we do have to play the grind game here, which is totally fine because we could just banish to either set a Kunk or we could set a counter trap. But I think I'm going to set Kunk because we need to play the grind game in this certain scenario. So what we can do is just push for damage here. And then during the opponent's turn, we have 2 interruptions. We can pop, and then we can Imperm again. And I think at this point, we have the ball rolling. Even if they get rid of this, that's fine. But at this point, we have the ball rolling. We have our Eldlich engine going. So there's just too much. It's too much. So after the 3 interruptions on turn 1, and then the other 2 interruptions on the following turn, and just pushing for damage, it's just too good. Like, oh, we top deck like another brick, but it's not relevant at all. We could just like link these two during the end phase, banish this, or we can like get Lord back from grave to send this, and then just definitely be able to push for damage that way. Let's do one more test hand. All right, guys, I'm not gonna lie. The first two test hands, I mean, it's not. I didn't brick, but oh man, it just. I really wanted to show you more exciting hands, you know, but it's fine. Maybe the third time's a charm. We'll see where it takes us. But I mean, the deck is awesome. Like, the deck is definitely competitive. Definitely has plenty of potential. The Ancient Warrior engine is just great. So yeah, we'll get right into it though. Let's see what we can draw for our final hand. So Sun Mao, let's go. Sanguine, Judgment, another Sanguine. This is actually so good, and I'll show you why. And then the last card here is Golden Lord, which is definitely fine. We drew Golden Lord all three test hands, which is it's fine, whatever. But this hand right here is actually pretty decent because I'll show you what. So Sun Mao is definitely gonna shine in this particular test hand, and yeah, we'll get right into it. So we're gonna normal Sun Mao. We're gonna send the Sanguine. Right, we'll send the Sanguine. We're going to search Zugong. Okay, then on resolution, we're going to special Zugong. We're going to be able to link into our double Dragon Lords right here. And then we're going to trigger the effect of double Dragon Lords. We're going to search Lu Fang. Alright, and now we're going to be able to banish. Oh, actually, you know what? We could have done something a bit better. So, well, I'll just show you guys right now. So instead of sending the Sanguine, we could just send the Golden Lord. I think that's a bit better. Yeah. So this will be our graveyard. So instead of Sanguine, we'll have Lord and Grave. I mean, honestly, technically, it's not bad because what I did want to do is I did want to banish this, and then just set a Conquistador or a Golden Land forever, and then I'll be able to get access to Golden Lord this way. You know what? Yeah, let me just commit to what I already made. I think this is fine, actually. So now we're gonna set these two. Okay, we're gonna summon the Lu Fang. So we have two interruptions right here. We have the bounce. We have Lu Fang to pop a monster our opponent controls. We're gonna banish, and we're gonna set. Again, you could set Conquistador here. It all depends on what you want to do. We do have another Sanguine, though. So if you don't know what you're playing against, again, I just want to be able to hit anything, right? Hit, like, even if they main deck, like, back row removal, I want to be able to stop that as well. So that's why I'll set the counter trap in this scenario. And then what's nice about keeping Lord in hand is you have the double Dragon Lord, so you could... have it act as cost for the double Dragon Lords to be able to bounce something, pop something, and then you can activate this. You can even activate this during standby, just so your counter trap is live at the beginning of your opponent's turn. Okay, and then you have this to be able to send this, and then, you know, negate anything, and then obviously we have the Judgment to be able to stop anything. So yeah, that was a really good board because we ended with 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions, and plus we have plenty of follow-up. Because during the next turn, let's see what we top deck. So Pot of Prosperity, it's a great card, but unfortunately it will prevent us from OTKing because for the rest of the turn our opponent takes half. But we do have OTK anyway. Because what will happen is we'll be able to set, with Sanguine, we'll be able to set like a Conquistador or like a Hakero. And then we'll be able to use Lord's Effect to send this special. Lord's at 35. We can also go for another double Dragon Lords here. And then with double Dragon Lords, we search the Sun Mao. And then normal Sun Mao, use the effect, send the pot, or send whatever random card you drew. And again, we have access to Lu Fang again, or we have access to the Zugong if we want to bounce like a monster opponent controls. So we could special, you know, Zugong. And then what's really cool here, guys, is that we also have the Chakanine play. So we have like the Zoo play where you could like overlay the two, go Chakanine, go Borbo, like attack direct, and then be able to like slap a Zeus on top, which is nice. Or Say like we attacked, and say like for whatever reason they just like gain life. We couldn't game them for whatever reason. We do have a dweller play, which is really nice. Or you could just attack with Chakanine anyway. Just made a 6 material Zeus, which is awesome. But again, if you know they're going to be hurt by Dweller, that's totally fine. And then during the end phase, we could just banish this to set another Sanguine, or we could set Black Awakening. It just man, this deck is awesome, bro. This deck is definitely once you get the ball rolling, it's amazing, and it's a consistent deck, and it's a competitive deck as well. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile and the combo tutorial as well as the test hands. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you do enjoy videos like this, please consider subscribing and liking the video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, have a great day, and peace.